Hey, Mike, where'd you get these endless summer movie tickets from?
Whoa, I love those. That's from my Endless Summer box set.
Ooh, where'd you get that from?
The link is in the show notes, baby. Hey, everybody, welcome to the QuiverCast.
You go left, I go right. Man, this wave is out of sight. Going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends.
All right, everyone, welcome to the QuiverCast. Today we are stoked. A South African surfer, Greg Emslie. How are you, Greg?
Mark, how's it? And hello, everyone. All good. Evening here now. It's, I think, about 7:30 and feeling pretty surfed out. Had a good day of surfing, so relaxed and ready to go.
Awesome. How are the waves today?
We've got some really large surf. It's probably sort of 8 to 10 feet and
Wow.
a little bit washy, so we had to find some surf inside the bays and a little bit of protection. But yeah, we got some really fun waves. Did a bit of hunting around, and it's very wild surf here at the moment. I think you would have seen J-Bay had a bit of surf over the last couple of days. Yeah, so we've got that swell, but super heavy swell at the moment.
Awesome. So where do you live in South Africa?
So I'm from a town called East London on the east coast. It's pretty much 4 hours drive from Jeffreys Bay, and you can say about 7 hours drive from Durban. So we're along the wild coast, and we face quite south. We get a lot of raw surf. We've got lots of point breaks and beach breaks, and just, very rugged and loads of surf. So it's a beautiful coastline.
Yeah, sounds beautiful. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in the same area?
Yes, I was born and bred here,
Okay.
but yeah, I love it. I've asked myself a lot of questions over the years, especially, touring for nearly 15 years. I mean, I could live anywhere in the world, but I've always just thought this is home, and there's just so much I love about it. I love how wild it is and good people, good waves. It's a really cool area to live.
So how did you start surfing in such a wild place?
So I started surfing around 1984, I believe, 83, 84.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when surfing was sort of getting popular in South Africa. We always talk about J-Bay event. The best year ever was 1984. I had two older brothers, so we did sort of everything from skateboarding, BMXing, what kids do, We saw the sport of surfing, and we went off to the local surf shop, 6'9" single fins, and surfing. It's quite crazy. I often question myself because I was 7 at the time, my brother about 9, and then the other brother would have been about, the breaks we grew up surfing are like heavy rips and currents and that, and I often wonder, I remember at times being stuck in rips and that, but I often wonder how we didn't die, how we made it. It's quite interesting because it's like radical sort of surf conditions and that, but we just went and surfed and we survived, and it was great.
Was there a crowd out there, or were you guys kind of by yourselves?
No, there's no crowd. There's not many people that surf around here. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it could have gone horribly wrong, but I suppose that, no one wants to die in the water. You're gonna make your way back to the beach if you can, and that's what we did. We were fit young kids, and we just had a ball out there.
Okay, it sounds wild. What's the water temperature?
So our average water temperature here is 18 degrees.
Oof.
We fluctuate fairly quickly depending on the wind. For instance, 2 days ago, we were sitting at 15 degrees, and we've had a lot of strong westerly winds which bring the warm water, and we're up at about 22 or 23 degrees today. So,
big fluctuations.
Yeah, we have big fluctuations. It changes quite quickly depending on the wind.
What's the sea life like out there?
The sea life is very healthy. Loads of fish, lots of dolphins. There's sharks everywhere, and pretty chilled. You don't look go. I mean, I don't sort of go out and like go, there's a shark or I'm looking for a shark, because you're not going to see them. We have a sardine run every year, which I don't know, you would have heard about it. So the end of June, beginning of July, and that gets quite intense. It's just sardines, and it's just like a feeding thing. It's quite spectacular.
Wow.
That gets a bit heavy because that's our best surf time, middle of winter. But again, it's the sharks and that should be nice and full from all the sardines, but it becomes pretty lively out there at times.
Wow. So you're just a free surfer with your brothers. How did competition get in your life?
Well, we didn't really think about competition. We sort of saw a little bit on TV, etc. And then there was some local events, and the guys asked us to surf them.
Okay.
And that's how we got into it. The local surf community is really strong around the East London area. We don't have many surfers, but we've got a lot of good surfers.
Mm-hmm.
And we got into it, and very supportive, and we sort of did the South African Championships, etc. And then it's basically that's where it started. But I mean, it's surfing was always about just surfing. It's like competition came around the enjoyment of surf, which is how you want it. I mean, that's just surfing is just a lifestyle, really, and it's great if you can compete and have a career around that, and sort of keep your head level and always be appreciative of it, and go like there's not much better job in the world than a pro surfer. It's a sport that we love.
Yes, I would imagine. Okay. Was there any other Groms out there surfing with you guys, or was it just you and your brothers?
So initially we didn't see many Groms.
Okay.
We surfed at our beaches and stuff, not too many. At some of the other beaches so far, there were a couple of Groms starting to come up. And then as we sort of grew up, we sort of started competing against the guys. We had our crew. There was a couple of us. And then as the different beaches came together and we competed, we just saw how much sort of talent there was in our area.
Yeah.
Pretty insane, like sort of local contests that were always hotly contested, and it was fantastic. And we just free surf would sort of then start moving to different beaches, and it was just raw, and everyone just surfing as hard as they could. It was epic.
Yeah. So what did you think of the other kids your age when you started competing against them? The guys from, let's say, JB, or the guys up from Durban? Were they just as good as you, not as good as you, the same as you?
I think they were better than me.
They were better
when we were younger. There were guys that were just ridiculously good.
Okay.
But, when you compete with them and you surf with them, you bring your level up to them.
Yes.
There were guys like Byron Howarth, who was exceptionally good as a youngster. Sean Holmes, David Faff. The list goes on and on. They're super competitive. And the guys were, and they're still really good surfers. Good style, good in all sorts of waves, and it was epic.
At what point does your level exceed theirs and you start finding yourself doing pretty well?
Probably only when I got to sort of 17 or 18. Like late in a junior career, I would say. In fact, probably my last year under 18 was when I sort of realized that maybe I can surf okay. Won the South African Championship. Went on. Back then there was the Quicksilver Grommet Championships in Bali. All the different nations would go there, and I ended up winning that, which was pretty epic. And suddenly I realized, hang on, maybe next year, crack at the tour. Actually, the following year, did a couple of months in Australia, got to meet some really cool people, traveled with the Billabong crew. Vince Lauder looked after us, and got to meet one of my best friends, Mick Lowe.
Okay.
And we were juniors. Lowe and I traveled and caused a lot of trouble as juniors. And then later on in life, as we both made the World Championship tour, we were travel buddies as well. So, yeah, it was cool.
How hard is it for a South African to make it in the pro ranks, because you guys are kind of by yourselves. I mean, there's Sean Thompson and there's a few guys now, but money wise and stuff, money's different in South Africa than the rest of the world, right?
Look, the currency is always going to be an uphill battle.
Okay.
But over the years, South Africa has always had a small group of really good surfers
100%. Yes.
that have been on the tour. And I think we're always going to have that. Right now, you've got, if you think about Geordie Smith, Matt McGillivray, we saw Bianca Buitendag just come off a silver medal in Tokyo at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Judy Baker flying the flag, Marky February on the free surfing side. So we've got the surfers. That is always going to be a challenge. I think right now the biggest thing is probably competition fitness. So I think we don't have enough events. So when our surfers do get to Challenger Series level, they're not competitively fit to match the other guys, and that's where I'm seeing a problem. Talent-wise, they've got everything. It's just that competitive fitness. We need more events. We battle for events, and just need more international exposure, basically, competitively.
Well, wave quality, I'm assuming you guys are probably superior than most of the world. You have all kinds of different kind of waves, and some of the best waves in the world.
You can pretty much practice for any wave that if you've got an event coming up, you're pretty close to being able to practice for that event pretty well in South Africa,
Yeah.
A couple of the lefts maybe we'll battle with, but even so, we've got some good left-handers and some slabs, and so that's not a problem. It's and even financially, the good guys will get backing, and there's ways of doing it.
Good. Yes.
For me, the biggest thing is just the cutting edge competition is, you look at Europe, for instance, they've got so many QS events every week. And so those guys that get onto the Challenger have surfed hard to get there, and they've had lots of heats where, our guys will have two 1,000 events. To go from that into the Challenger, it's just like into the deep end, straight off the bat.
Yeah, I see that. Once again, you guys always have someone on tour. There's one or two guys. And right now with Matt and Jordy, you guys are pretty well covered on the CT.
Pretty well covered. Yep, we're pretty well covered. Again, it would be nice to start having some more guys knocking on the door.
Yes.
There's a couple guys there or thereabout. We'll see them, hopefully this year on the Challenger, we'll see them starting to step up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think our juniors just need to almost have a different approach. Just like let's just go as hard as we possibly can. I mean, the San Clemente Californian guys have done is just insane. It's great to see how they back each other. I watch all the events. I watch, how they support each other. And the Brazilians did it for years. It worked. And now, that's what you got to do. You back each other, you support each other, and you go and take the bull by the horns, and you go and take over the world, basically.
Yeah. Yes. It's cool what the Sacramento guys are doing. What is the surf culture like in South Africa today?
Well, the surf culture is pretty good. It is definitely getting a little bit smaller. You do have a lot of families immigrating. So often you'll see that will be a surfing families. The numbers are possibly getting a touch smaller, but our junior tour that we've got here is really strong. We've got a junior tour of about 10 events countrywide.
Oh, that's cool.
And we got some frothing groms, and all those sort of events are held at pretty good wave locations. So they're pushing each other. They often end up in some really heavy surf, and they're like, okay, well, who's going to go on the biggest wave? And so I'm seeing something there. I'm seeing something starting to happen. I'm seeing a push. Supporting each other. We had Belita last year before the Challenger Series was probably 8 to 10, 12 foot.
Yeah.
And the kids had to get out there, and they were all like coming together and going like, how are we going to do this? And they were sort of, well, you go, and if you hit the lip, you're going to be our hero. And you just heard the banter and that, and that's what you want. That's what surfing is.
Pushing.
Yeah, we push each other, and we support each other, and we coach each other, really, in some ways.
Okay. Did you have that when you were coming up?
Absolutely, we had it. My era was all about that. You didn't really have too many coaches. I had a guy, Dave Malhubi, that coached me and helped me. But other than that, even when I made the tour, we didn't have coaches. I mean, the first guy I saw with a coach was probably Taj Burrow.
Yeah.
Even on the championship tour, we would sit around at night and discuss. If we were in Tahiti, we would discuss how we would take off on the wave and where the zone would be and what swell directions you've got. And then you get to J-Bay and you talk about, you be in the lineup and you talk about the different spots to take off and everyone's got their sort of secret and you go, well, I like to do this. And so we were competing against each other. At the same time, we were surfers wanting to surf better at the same time and helping each other. Especially back then, it was really special. And I think surfing's always had that, where you look out for fellow surfers. You're in the water, you go, is everyone okay? You just, I suppose, what do you call it? The lower spirit, looking after each other. And that's what I always believe it's been.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. At what point in your amateur career did you decide I'm going to turn pro? What was the turning point?
It was quite interesting, actually, back then. Because back then, you were either an amateur or a pro.
Exactly.
And if you surfed the pro events, you weren't allowed to get your prize money because you were an amateur.
Yes.
Done quite well, and I'd make quite good money. I wasn't getting that money unless I was a pro. I think that was the decision. I'm going to turn pro. I'm going to take the cash. Yeah, I turned pro. Pretty much when I won the World Grommet Champs in Bali, the Quicksilver World Grommet Champs,
Yeah.
I had a great event. I was with Billabong back then. Rabbit Bartholomew was there, and he was one of the sort of team managers of Billabong. He says, okay, we're going to come to Australia next year. And I'm like going, whoa, so things are happening. I'm going to turn pro. And that's when it's in Bali, and that was in 1994. And that's when the next year, 95, I toured Australia. And the following year, I started the qualifying series.
Now you're on the world stage. What did you think of the qualifying series?
I thought it was fantastic. I do think we miss it at the moment. And why I think it was fantastic was it was cutthroat. You had your championship tour surfers surfing in the main event, but you had about 30 events worldwide that you could choose from, and they would take the top 8 events.
Yeah.
And you could tour. So you would start off in Australia, do a few events, and you could go to Europe, hire a camper van with a few mates and do like 12 events in a row.
Yeah.
And, there were people that didn't make it, but they had a great time. And you finished school or something, and what a learning experience, a life lesson. I often think back to my first year on tour, and I've got like almost more memories from that year, just how tough it was and how fun it was at the same time, more than the rest of my career. So there was just so many characters. Everyone had an opportunity. You could make money in every event almost, and they would pay you hard dollars, and you move on to the next one. And you could do 30 events a year if you wanted. I thought that was great.
Did it ever burn you out? Or was it always just having fun? You're so young, you're just going for it.
No, never ever. The word burnout didn't exist when we were young.
That's awesome.
Literally, there was no such word as burnout. We never burnt out.
Okay. So can you give us one story or one example of the fun times you guys had in the early days?
There's just so many. What was cool for me was, you're having everyone's got very little money.
Yeah.
I just remember us hiring a camper van and, we would be in France and then go to Newquay and just drive, the whole of Europe. And then we would go to Spain and Portugal. I suppose I wouldn't call it a fun time, but I remember the wheel coming off of that camper van in the middle of the night. Yeah, we were in a bit of trouble. But you know what? We turning it into a good time. We got a place to stay. We, of course, partied a bit, and every night was a party. And then you had the camper guys staying in the forest in France, and it was awesome. It was all sorts of characters competing. Some guys were serious, some not so serious, and And that first year that I started was exceptionally special for me because, I traveled with the South African crew. Mick Lowe joined me. Taj Burrow was his first year. It was insane. But what was really cool was Aki was making his comeback.
Okay.
So and Tom Curran, who was my hero, was also doing the tour. So I got to see my real heroes and actually surf against them like my first year on the qualifying series. So that was cool.
That's super cool. Did you ever beat Tom or Aki?
I don't know if I beat Tom. I definitely beat Aki once or twice on the championship tour.
That's awesome.
To be honest, more on strategy than talent.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
whoever takes that win.
I beat him at Trestle. Yeah, I got him. He needed a score, and we drifted off the peak, and I had my lineup with that light pole or something and a tree, and I could see we were way off the peak. And Aki, and I just sort of floated there with Aki, and he didn't pick up that we were off the peak, and he needed a six coming, and the set came through, and we were nowhere near it. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome. Was this the 2-man heat? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Going back to the early years of being on tour, you're making progress every year. When do you find yourself on the CT, and what did you think?
So the first year I did the qualifying series, I think I ended about 130th, 131.
Okay.
The next year I was sitting at about 80th and going, okay, well, that's sort of par for the course,
Yep.
And then I ended up, the second last event of the year was the event in Brazil, which was a 5-star rated event back then.
Mm-hmm.
I got this board from Gunter Ron, and this board was just insane. It went so good. It had this heavy hip on it. Anyway, I just got through heat after heat, and I got to the finals, and I ended up winning the contest. So,
yeah.
I beat Victor Rebus in the final by like 0 point something. The crowd weren't happy on Rio Beach. They then gave me about $10,000 back then in cash on the beach and in Rio. It's like, okay, what do I do with this? And so that was pretty heavy. It was almost too much success too quickly, like I wasn't ready for it.
Okay.
They somehow didn't have the events at Haleiwa and Sunset that year. I don't know why. The last event was at Guadalupe Island. I was actually like the last guy in, and I went to Guadalupe and like lost first heat and ended up being like 2 spots out. But then the following year, I qualified pretty comfortably. I think I ended second on the QS, and then I was in.
That's
so
awesome.
It was end of 1998, yes.
So you get on the CT, and now you're surfing with a different bunch of surfers than you just were surfing with, right? Maybe some of them came on with you, like Taj and all those guys, and Mick. How was it?
It was pretty hectic. I mean, there was the old guard that knew how to compete. Like, they competed better than that. It was just insane. I mean, you had... I'm not even going to go like Sonny. He was younger than some of these guys, but guys like Damien Hardman were there.
Yeah.
How do you beat a guy like that? He's just so competitively sound. Munga Barry, John Shmuta was there. It was just the guys with, Shane Powell, and it was just a crew that were hardcore.
Yeah.
And they just competed. They just didn't give you a chance in the water. But I had a couple of decent results. I did pretty good. So it was exciting. It was great times.
It sounds super fun. Did you clash with any personalities? Was there anybody on either the QS or the CT that you wanted to beat really badly? Like maybe like a rival or something?
I mean, you wanted to beat everybody.
Of course.
I didn't. I pretty much could beat every. When I look back, I pretty much I beat everybody.
Okay.
Except Kelly and Mick. I couldn't beat those guys, but I could beat Taj and I could beat Parker. Like, I had a way of beating those guys, even though they were, in my opinion, quite a lot better than me. But
okay.
I found a way to beat them. I found a strategy. I just battled with. I'm quite good with strategies and stuff. I battled with Mick purely because Mick was just so precise. His strategy was quite straightforward. Start the heat leading and end the heat leading, and how do I get into the lead in amongst that? And I just couldn't do it. Kelly, on the other hand, was just, I don't know what his strategy is. I can read people, but I think the reason why Kelly's the GOAT is because it's very difficult to read his strategy. He's never had a fixed strategy. He's sort of, he can mix it up, and he doesn't care if he starts first in line, last in line. He's not going to hustle for so it's hard to read him, and so I battled with that.
Which sounds super interesting. So you were able to find kinks in people's armor kind of thing.
Absolutely. That's what I thrived on. Strategies, studied the surfers, sort of looked at their patterns, and everyone's got a pattern. I mean, I know, you start a heat with Adriano de Souza, is going to fight you to the death for that inside.
Okay.
And he wants a quick start. He wants to get ahead. You get a guy like a Tom Whitaker, he's just going to put down anchor and wait for the two very best waves in the heat, and either they're going to come to him or they're not. Every surfer's got a sort of a way they do things. So you've got to figure out, okay, premeditate what they're going to do, and then build the strategy around that.
At this point in your career, and I think they switched it during it, but what was priority? Was it the inside, or was it buoy, or what were they doing at that point? Do you remember?
I just missed out on that buoy story.
Okay.
We had to paddle around the buoy. So I was lucky enough where they awarded you the priority once you were
first surfer up.
Sort of, but we didn't have the the QS, there wasn't any of that 4-man priority. So the other thing that was tricky on the QS was you went through with the same surfer. If you made it through your heat, the guy that got through with you in that heat would be in your next heat.
Oh, yeah.
So if you ended up with a really gnarly guy, you pretty much, you stuck with him for the finals if you can get there. I remember Margaret River, the one year there were little rocks. It was a QS, and I had Neko Padarat, and he was just like a complete animal. If he got back in the lineup, you were not on the next wave. So you had to make sure when he was riding a wave, you found a wave. Otherwise, you couldn't get a wave. And I ended up getting second to Neko in that contest. I came second, but every heat I got second from round one. I had him in round one, and I got second to him the whole contest. But it was just impossible.
What about in some of these QSs? Let's go back to the QS. Did you guys ever work as a team? Did you have any buddies in your heats that were like, okay, let's gang up and make sure we make it through the round?
No, I don't think it's just such an individual sport that, you can be mates on the beach and that, but that just never works. It just never, ever works. You just got to go and do your thing in the water. You can't, that just doesn't work,
Okay.
But I'll tell you a funny story. What we did start.
Okay.
One of the surfers reps was the jet ski assist.
Oh, yeah.
Getting towed back in. And that was quite interesting. The very first event we did it was Burley Head.
Okay.
At the Quicksilver, the opening event of the year. Yeah, so then you had 3 people heats in round one, so we didn't use the jet ski assist. Then the second round, I'd actually won my opening round. So the second round was held at Burley Head. It was about 3 to 4 feet, really good Burley Head.
Mm-hmm.
And they started the second round one, and I went and sat on the hill at Burley to watch. It was Shea Lopez up against Peterson Rosa.
Mm.
The jet ski assist was in the water, and they both had their opening exchange, and they both paddled out, deciding not to use the jet ski assist. The next exchange, Shea had a wave, and next thing he called the jet ski, got on the ski, and boom, he's out the back. And
yeah,
Peterson says, wow, seems a bit unfair. Better do the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Peterson has a wave. He calls the ski, and the ski driver picks him up and heads out at full pace with him on the back, and this 5-foot double upset comes through. And I've never seen anything like it in my life. He pretty much He went straight up, and halfway up this 5-foot double up dredging wave, he decides he's not going to make it. He does the craziest tail slide off the top with Pedersen holding on. He then comes out of that turn and does a figure 8 and attacks the same wave straight in, ripping Pedersen off there.
Oh,
and
shit.
and Pedersen, and I just go, geez, this is just chaos. I'm just like watching from the shoreline. I was with Paul Canny. We actually, I don't want to be harsh, but we were laughing. It was like just chaos. And Pedersen came up facing the beach. You could hear him just screaming, but it now became it was the judge's problem. It wasn't the jet ski driver. So they put the heat on hold, and he came in and his fingers were bleeding from holding on, and it was just, so that was the very first heat that there was ever jet ski that went on hold straight away. It was chaos.
Lucky you didn't get totally hurt. That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, it was heavy. It was radical.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You stay on tour for quite a long time. You make a nice career out of it.
Yeah.
Was it all enjoyable? Or did it get more serious the more years you were on?
Yeah, it was all enjoyable. I mean, we would sort of have surfer rep meetings, and I always say, so from when I first joined the surfer rep meetings, you had, Hoya was just classic. He was, everyone, you came to a surfer rep meeting with at least 1 6-pack of beers, if not 2. And we had fun, and I remember the guys said, okay, guys, we're going to talk about our money situation. We want more money. And Matt Hoy stood up, he says, he'd had a couple of beers, and he just said, you guys are tripping. We've got the best lifestyle in the world. We get enough money. We're having fun. We don't need more money. And everyone was like, wow, everyone needs more money. Classic Hoya style. I thought that was special.
Yeah.
And you went to those meetings and you took a couple of beers, and that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my start. The surfer rep meetings, when I ended my career in 2009, I still took a beer because that's what I did, but the odd one out having a beer. No one, the guys had their water, and things changed. So that's how things changed over the years, for sure.
Okay. So for you, it kind of stayed the same. You were the same person, but
Absolutely.
when new people came in, they were actually treating this more serious than you started off. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Coaches started becoming involved. There were managers. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's obviously the sport's got to move forward. Yeah, I still stayed the same. And I always had a thing, if I was going to compete against someone that had a coach, I really, really wanted to make sure I beat them because I wanted to prove that I was a better surfer and I'm better than their coach as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had this thing where I was excited when I came up against someone that had a coach telling them what to do. It was all enjoyable. There's no doubt. It's a beautiful lifestyle. And it's something that worries me a little bit about today is, financial reasons. I realize WSL have had to cut numbers and that.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult for people to make a career out of it, especially an average surfer. When I say an average surfer, like someone that's going to hang around the sort of 10 to 15 mark in the world,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be on tour for 10 years or 12 years or 15 years. You want to make a career. And I think, there's a lot of talk about mental health and all this. I suppose if you're doing a job that there's no certainty, there's no, you don't know where you're going to be in 6 months' time because there's midway cuts. It's got to mess with your brain. And I think, to me, I would like to, in some ways, see it go back to a little bit of the old days. I understand why it's not like that, but give the guys more of a chance to actually make a career out of it, have longevity, and just really spend time on tour. There's just too many guys. Who was I thinking about the other day? Someone that was in the top 5. It's just guys need to be there, and it's.
So you're against the cut, basically, is what you're saying.
Look, every decision I understand is made for a reason. I mean, I sit on a few boards of different things, and I know, I don't always agree with things, but there's always a reason for things to happen. And of course, there's a reason for the cut. There's a reason for the WSL finals. It's financial. So I get that. I don't really want to fight it and say, oh, it's crazy. But I just wouldn't mind there was a way that we could get these surfers to have more longevity, slightly more numbers.
Yeah.
A bit more guarantee, get them having longer careers. I think that will sort out a lot of problems.
Yes. I'm not going to say I agree or disagree because I'm not really sure, but what do you think about the Challenger series then? Do you like that? Having a 3 series of the QS, the Challenger, and then the CT?
Again, for me, and I'm going to sound so old school here, but in my day, the tour was perfect. It really was perfect. You had a qualifying series, as I mentioned. You needed to count 8 events. And there were surfers that could surf only 8 events and qualify.
Yeah.
There was quite a few of them because they were that good.
Yeah.
So that was cool. They knew they could do that. But you could choose out of 30 events worldwide which events you want to do, and you want to try and make the championship tour. You then had a championship tour that started in the beginning of March at Snapper Rock, which was just an epic venue to start at. You then moved on to Bell's Beach in Easter, which is just tradition. It was great. You then had Fiji and Tahiti in May, which was just epic timing. You just had world-class waves. Sometimes they threw a Japan in. At one stage, there was Reunion Island, St. Louis, then J-Bay. Then you did the Trestle, the Europe leg, Brazil, and ended up in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And Pipeline, you had the Triple Crown, which was just epic. It was a sort of mini world title on its own.
Yes.
And then, of course, finishing at Pipeline in December was just epic. To me, there's nothing wrong with that tour. It's a whole year, it's a calendar year, and it worked great.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. It seems like it's changing all the time.
It is, and obviously viewership, it's financial, it's this and that. That's why I don't want to point fingers, but it's someone on the sideline that's been there and done it. It's not my ideal what I'm seeing right now.
I get that. Back in the day when you started and you started traveling around the world, how many boards were you bringing? Probably
4 to 6 boards, but we also then, especially at the start, we still had fixed fins, so that was a bit trickier. You'd have to put a bit of foam around those fins.
The glass ons.
Battled with the FCS in the early days, just because they used to make those sort of plastic fins, and I just didn't enjoy them. When I eventually got my hands on some fiberglass ones, that's when I sort of did the shift.
Okay.
To different systems. Then it was, I could feel the difference.
For sure. As your career went on, did you always just have the 4 to 6 boards, or did your quiver kind of build as you were traveling? Or did you get different boards in different regions?
Like Hawaii was, I would get boards from Jeff Bushman in Hawaii, and then I'd keep them under his house. I'd always have, in Hawaii, you'd probably have 12 boards at least. I would just keep a list on my computer. Back in the day, you'd surf Sunset, you would have a 7, I think I even had an 8.2, but then you'd have like a 7.8, 7.6s, a couple of 7.2s and 7.0s, and you get a 6.9, 6.8s, and a couple of 6.6s, 6.3s. My short board back then was a 6.0. I would make a list and go, okay, this is an A board, a B board. The rubbish boards I would just sell and then order new the next year. Mm-hmm. And then the really good ones, wrap them up in sort of thing wrap or bubble wrap and store them under Jeff's house. And that's pretty much what all the guys did, And then Tahiti, Fiji, there you would need to travel with maybe 2 board bags because you could break a lot of boards.
Yeah.
So that was a bit tougher. And then different spots around the world, I'd always get a couple of boards from the local shapers, just because there's so many good shapers around the world.
Yeah.
You go to Australia and get a couple of the shapers there. Gunter always made me some good board. And then Europe, I would do Pucus, get a couple of the guys, Peter Daniels, the late Peter Daniels would make me great boards there. Of course, I always use the Spiders from South Africa. He's obviously a good mate of mine and a great shaper.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get a couple of Merricks in California. Sino used to make some great boards too for me. I'd try different boards. I love trying boards. Just we had such an advantage of getting boards at really good deals, and it was just awesome to try different boards from the best shapers in the world.
Did you pay for those out of your pocket, or did your sponsors pick it up? How'd that work?
Oh, I would have just paid for them. It's just, it's part of the job. The good equipment for me was more important than anything. A good board would earn you way so much money. So boards are a great investment for any top surfer. It's your number one investment. You've got to just keep spending money on surfboards if you want to make it.
Okay. Like today, a lot of the guys are working with just one shaper. Do you think it's an advantage to work with just one shaper all around the world in different conditions, or do you think it's better to work with the local shaper?
I definitely think it's worth testing different boards out.
Okay.
You have your shaper, your main shaper, but you just don't know when you find that's something different, that magic that you're not getting. And I think the guys are a little bit more competitive. The shapers are more competitive now, that they don't want to do it as much. But in our day, it was just how we all were. No one was going to care if I rode their shapers board. They were stoked if I was going to get a board from their shaper. They weren't going to go, "Oh, I don't want you to have." That is something that's worried me a little bit of late as well, seeing shapers going, "Well, I'm not going to make a board for him. He's, so-and-so rides my board and he's competition to my guy." I don't ever remember anything like that. It was like, I would say to one of my guys on tour, "I want to get a board from your shaper." "Yeah, here we stoked. This is the model to get," and that's just how it was.
Wow. Yeah. How things have changed.
Absolutely.
When you went to Hawaii the first time, how did it feel? Did it seem at all similar to South Africa, or was it completely different? I mean, the water, of course, is warmer, but wave-wise.
Wave-wise, there's nowhere else like Hawaii. Hawaii is Hawaii. The power is just immense. You can take up on a 3-foot wave and the power is just on another level. And the whole heritage, the surfing heritage, just everything. Hawaii is so special. My first year just cruising around, testing all the brakes, and it's just epic. Back then as well, I would surf Emslie Land early morning sometimes before the heavy guys got out there, and it was just epic. That was before there were any houses there, and you do Sunset and Park and Haleiwa and all the other spots. It was a real treat, and something you always heard about, and you couldn't wait to test it out. But nowhere in the world's like it. The power of Hawaii is just, those waves travel for so far, and it's just special.
Yeah. Your favorite wave in Hawaii? Do you have a favorite?
Again, all those spots I really enjoyed. I loved Sunset just because it was so challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Just so much going on out there and trying to find lineups. And if you got that special wave at Sunset at West Peak, it was pretty incredible. I loved the challenge of it. Apart from that, I just battled with the crowds a bit there. So I had some good surfs, but just never really, it was like work going to surf Park. It wasn't really always that enjoyable.
Okay.
I often traveled around and just surfed some sort of quieter spots that I really loved, like Jocko's. I used to love Jocko's. That was like a doubling up left, and, it handled quite big surf. I enjoyed that. And Lania K and all those sort of different places. And Haleiwa I really enjoyed back then. The guys, I see they surf quite a lot more nowadays. Back, besides the contest there weren't that many guys out at Big Haleiwa, so that was always quite a treat.
What's one of your favorite places in the world you loved, like you couldn't wait to go and surf a heat?
That's an interesting question, because the ASP back in the day named it the Dream Tour, because it literally was the Dream Tour.
Yes.
You just couldn't wait to get, like, every spot had something so special about it,
mm-hmm.
that it was just so epic to surf heats at all those spots. I mean, we had heats at restaurants, like in Tamaroo, just cranking. Bell's Beach, Tahiti, J-Bay, 10 out of 10 firing. I mean, I love J-Bay. France would just be beach break barrels that were just insane. We had Mundaka, and that was awesome. So everywhere I enjoyed it, and Hawaii was just such a fitting end to the year because you would spend 6 or 7 or 8 weeks there. You would get a pad that you'd make your home, just where surfing the end of the year should be, you know.
Okay. So do you like the concept of them starting that pipe now, or do you wish it went back to like the Triple Crown days?
Absolutely, I wish it would go back to the Triple Crown days. Even though I watch all the contests, it just doesn't feel right for me that they started pipe. It feels like another event. It's like I want to see pipe in, December.
Yeah.
12th to the 22nd of December, or whatever it was. It was great. It was always big surf, yes, a bit of sand on the reef and this and that, but there was just so many great events at that time of year.
Now, back in the day, when they were making a call on if they should run heats or not, was there ever days where it was too big and they wouldn't send you out?
Never. Definitely not at Pop.
Okay. You had to go out.
Pop was Randy would be. I remember a day when Sonny Garcia was a surfers rep and he was saying to Randy, "You've got to call it off. Someone's going to die." And Randy said, "I'm not calling it off." I don't even know how far out those whitewaters were coming through. I mean, we were just getting absolutely destroyed. I remember having a heat against Kieran Perro and another pipe specialist, and I just went out there with no hope, and I ended up winning the heat.
That's rad.
I don't know, with a 4 and a 2. The other guys just imploded. They went too hard. They got smoked, and it was just crazy. It was just always heavy, but it was cool. It was good times.
Were you fearing for your life, or was it not really? Like it was just a job?
Well, I suppose you were fearing for your life. I wasn't all that clued up at Pop. So I was just going out there and, I remember sometimes paddling for a wave and go, "This looks like a good one for me." And next thing you're free falling out of the lip and going, "Geez, I don't really want to be on this wave." But yeah, I suppose that's part of learning. And Tahiti as well. I mean, when we went there, it was the first time events were being held there. It was just crazy. It was huge. I mean, you couldn't go on the set waves. You're trying to scratch for waves in between the set waves, and then if a set came through and if it caught you, you were like, no one knew then what would actually happen to you. Because for me, that was petrifying. Those early Tahiti days. I had a heat with Jake Patterson, and we both did, Jake charged, and he beat me, but I don't think any of us would have been proud of our scoreline. The heat before ours, Luke Egan tried to go through that lip and he got pulled over the falls.
Oh, shit.
Sitting in the channel watching that and you got a heat coming up just is not something you want to see, not at all.
How scary. Holy shit. Well, good times. Good times now. All good memories. You made it. You survived.
No, it was good memories. It was great.
A few years ago, you won the ISA World Master Champ.
Correct.
What was your goal when you entered the ISA games during that event? Did you have goals?
Yeah, every event you enter, you enter to win. You're there to.
Okay.
So I was feeling good and I had good boards. But those ISAs are tough events. You've got repertoire, and to win one of them is everything's got to go right for you. And pretty much that event in Ecuador, it suited me. It was a really fun right-hand point break. Yeah, it was a cool final. I had Sonny, who's a good mate of mine, and we all miss Sonny. And Kalani was in the final with us.
Yeah.
It was a really cool final of old mates, and I just got the good wave, managed to take the win, so that was epic.
So that's so awesome. So are you coaching for the Olympic team, or are you a coach for South Africa?
So I coached in 2021 in Japan. I coached Bianca.
Okay.
We got the silver. So I'm not coaching this year. We've got Chris Bond. the South African coach. So, yeah, I'm sort of helping him out. And, I sit on the board of Surfing South Africa and I oversee coaching and that. So, Chris is going to take the team. And, I think it's a good team. And let's hope we can get some good results. You look at on the ladies' side, we got Sarah Baum.
Yep.
In charges. And then Geordie, of course, very experienced.
Good chance of winning. I think Geordie has a good chance of winning.
Yeah, and for me, the best wave I've ever seen on the World Tour, and I might be biased, but Matt McGillivray's 10 at Chopin a year or two ago where he free fell out of that lip. Matt he is seriously fearless. He jumps out of planes. He jumps off bridges. He's got no fear. And that wave that he had at Chopin, just, if there's proper waves there, he's got a chance at going medals for sure. That wave for me is still the best. The way he free fell and out of control and his board managed to grip was the best 10-point ride I've seen.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the guy is a phenomenal surfer.
Yeah, absolutely. Fearless and strong and just makes every turn on any heavy section. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. Good for you guys. I mean, in my opinion, you guys have a good chance with your team going into the Olympics of coming around with some medals, I think, if not the gold.
We've got the team. It's not easy to get a medal. It's
of course not.
It's so limited. It's something so special. You talk about winning and winning an event, but when it comes to Olympics, you talk about winning gold and winning silver and winning bronze. It's because to get one of those medals, you're a winner. So any one of those medals, and there's only 6 of them. Between the men and women,
yes,
you're pretty much winning something big. It's an Olympic. Well, it's forever.
And they're representing all of you or all of us, whatever country we were from. It's bigger than the surfer, I think.
Definitely, much bigger than the surfer. Much bigger.
Yeah. So let's talk about your family. Your kids surf, right?
Yep, my kids are very sporting surf. My son David is just turned 17. My daughter, Taylor, she's just turned 15. So my wife, Shantae, surfs once a year. She'll have a paddle, but she can surf.
Perfect.
Right.
It's cold out there.
Yeah. No, she always says once a year I'll have a couple of waves.
All right. That's awesome. So do you enjoy going to surfing with the family? Are you and the kids surfing together often, or are they kind of surfing on their own with their buddies?
Yeah, so we surf together a lot. I love looking for good waves, and so they've been fairly spoiled because we'll do a bit of hunting and always go and look for good waves.
Yeah,
and it's something that I've always told them is they can compete. That's great, but I said surfing is always going to be our thing, where we go and look for good waves and have as much fun as we possibly can on the best waves that we can find on that day.
Yeah.
So it's always been our thing to just go and find good waves and really enjoy it for what surfing is.
So on one of your Instagram posts, you and your son went, like you said, hiking in to go find waves. How many waves are undiscovered in South Africa? Are there quite a few?
Absolutely. There's loads. I mean, that wave, I think that you're talking about, we're actually planning on surfing another ledge, and the ledge that I wanted to go surf just wasn't working, and we were kind of bleak, and we were like, let's surf this one. I said, no, I've watched this one so many times, it's not really surfable. Yeah, we ended up, it was just a weird swell direction, and that day was some really great barreling ledges coming off it. It was fantastic. But it's just such a vast coastline to be. I've run it quite a lot just because then, like big runs where stop at a couple of hotels and you do 150 Ks over, say, 3 days.
Okay.
Just to see the different waves and that. And you see the potential, but if the swell's not right on that day or the wind's not right, you could be missing gold. If it was anywhere else in the world, there'd be surfers all over the place, just surfing all of them. It's obviously, we've got so many good waves, and if it's good on the day, you don't, Nahoon Reef or Queensbury Bay or Kanubi, one of the main breaks are really good. It's hard to leave there to go walk in the middle of nowhere and discover another amazing reef.
That's a good point. Yeah.
There's lots out there. There's plenty out there.
Yeah. How are you guys to outsiders, to touring surfers? It's welcoming or unwelcoming?
It's very welcoming. We get very few tourists. We always enjoy a few guys, but it's so chilled here. We got very few people in the water. Everyone waits their turn, so it's pretty simple. And the guys come. I think they know the rules. Wait your turn, and but we're very welcoming. It's always great seeing a couple of outsiders that come and surf, and the guys generally go to Java, and that's where they stay. They don't venture out from there, and they do end up missing a lot of good coastline. I mean, South Africa's got crazy amounts of good waves.
Oh yeah, 100%. Let me ask you this: J Bay being one of the best, if not the best, right-hand point break in the entire world. Is there any little secret spots, and you don't have to name the spots or even the region, but that rivals that in South Africa? Is there similarities, I guess?
Not for what J-Bay is, not for the angle the wave comes in, the angle of the point.
Mm-hmm.
There's other waves that are just exceptionally crazy, like long, heavy sandbar barrels and that, for that perfect point break setup of J-Bay. But saying that, we've got heaps of point breaks that are different but brilliant in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
But J-Bay is special. But in saying that, you need the swell to wrap into J-Bay, and often the guys will sit there while it's flat and the rest of the coastline is 3 to 5 foot and absolutely firing points that are just absolutely firing, and
they're missing it.
They're missing it. They're not, they're not sort of broadening their horizons. I think J-Bay is the only spot to be at,
Yeah. With that being said, and you have traveled over the world numerous times, being everywhere, probably all around the world. Do you ever go exploring to the north or to the west of the continent of Africa to try to find new waves, or do you basically just stay at home?
Well, I've been to Namibia. I've been to Mozambique a few times. I want to do a lot more, but for now I do stay at home a lot just because it's very easy and I can surf exceptionally good waves with people.
So close to you.
And my kids are still growing up, but
of course.
I wouldn't. But with them, we've done some great tours, and we got one of those 4x4 camping trailers, and we get out there and we go and find waves. So we do a lot of that stuff. I wouldn't mind doing a bit more, to be honest.
Yeah. How many undiscovered waves are on that continent? It's a huge continent, and I feel like a lot of it's unexplored. I could be wrong, but
I think there's probably still quite a few, but I think there would have been a lot of breaks that have been surfed, but maybe once or twice. And, there's just going to be no one around. You can go and surf on your own. Like, there's just so many good waves that go unridden up and down the coast, especially in wintertime, that will just be barreling off their heads. Yeah, I mean, when you got the right conditions along our coast, especially our east coast in winter, and you've got northwesterly winds, there's a lot of sand on all the points. The surfers will stick to a spot where they've heard the barrels are good, and most guys will be there. But there'll be points up and down hundreds of kilometers that will be as good, if not better, with possibly nobody out.
Yeah, I bet. You guys are known for barreling waves. Are there fun waves where if someone's not real stoked on a 6-foot barrel, is there a lot of breaks where it's 3 to 4 foot and kind of mushy fun? I don't know. There is?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got loads of that. You see, a lot of our big bays where the surf doesn't get into, then you have like fun little running right-handers and left-handers, and we got everything. We got all sorts of waves.
So, tourist-wise, do you guys feel like you want more tourists coming to visit?
Tourism's great for our economy.
Yeah.
South Africa should pretty much be built on tourism. That alone could solve so many problems. South Africa we need the surfers. Yes, of course, I want to surf waves on my own and that, but the country definitely needs tourism, 100%.
Okay, I think so. It's one of my places I really want to go. And does American money stretch out further there? Am I going to get more bang for my buck going there versus Australia or somewhere else that I have to travel far to?
Much more bang for your buck. Just you're going to be laughing. You come here, it's like you're going to spend no money almost. I promise you. our restaurants are on another level. Just around my house, I've got probably 10 world-class restaurants that will cost you next to nothing.
Wow.
The food in South Africa is on another level. It's just really good. The people are friendly. Don't listen to the news. And yes, there's parts that are dangerous and that, but if you stick to listen to the sort of guards and that and stick to the safe places, it's fantastic. It's beautiful.
How far away are you from the wild animals, like the big game, like the crazy animals?
Pretty much, we've got game farms all over South Africa. So, I mean, I can drive, if I want to go and see a lion right now, I could drive 25 minutes and go and see a lion.
Wow, really? That's so cool.
That's South Africa. But there's fantastic game farms. It's just beautiful. The whole coast. We've got the Wild Coast, the former Transkei. There's great accommodation along there. There's great surf. There's great scenery. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait. I got to go. If I go, are we going to go surf one day?
Absolutely. Hit me up. You're gonna stay with me for a few days. We'll surf, and I'm gonna send you on your way and give you a guide on where exactly you're gonna find good accommodation, good food, and excellent waves.
Thank you, Greg. All right, Greg Emslie, thank you so much for coming on the QuiverCast. I had a blast. Learned a lot.
Absolutely. It was good fun. Good evening chatting. Always good to share stories.
Yeah, your stories are excellent. All right, everybody. This is Mike and Greg Emslie, and we are out of here. Thank you.
Out of sight, going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends. Ride this wave to the shore, paddle out, I'm gonna catch 10 more. Going surfing, going surfing, going surfing with friends. I don't care if it's wrong or right. I'm gonna do it all day, I'm gonna do it all night. I'm going surfing, I'm going surfing, going surfing with friends. On my way, it's a beautiful day. I'm going surfing, I'm going surfing, going surfing with friends. Woo!
Hey, you guys, Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic, numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip. From the original print, you literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production. All hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes. Hey, you guys, Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic, numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip. From the original print, you literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production. All hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.